If you look around, you'll see a lot of ruined structures, right? So this place was always active, let's say right from 13th century, when Delhi was ruled by this, well-known dynasty called Khalji dynasty. Yeah? Okay. What actually Khaljis did was they chose this place to build, not to build their capital or structures or anything. They just wanted to build an artificial water tank. Okay, and there was this ruler called Alauddin Khalji. He was very much into construction and repairing and stuff like that. So he built his capital, which is very close to this place, that is Siri. We call it Siri Fort nowadays. Yeah, so that was his capital, and he saw population rising not just in his capital but near to his capital as well. So just to cater to the water needs of the population who was coming up in and around his capital, Siri, he planned to build a water tank. Okay, this is the water tank I'm talking about. Okay, he named it Jose Alai. Alai from his own name. Okay, and this tank was very special to him. The reason is because, as I said, Delhi, even in 13th century, had a major water problem. So this tank was spread over 28 hectares. Okay, this is not the original size. It's shrinked now. It's not even half of it. It's shrinked, and Jose Alai was used by the neighbors staying here. Okay, and it also helped Alauddin to keep his garden hidden around very much green and it also helped people for its water needs, and also helped people for irrigation purposes as well. Okay. What Alauddin did was he made this tank which spread over 28 acres, and he also made a middle point. Middle point was again a structure. Okay, that particular structure is written by the Krishna. Okay, you won't be able to see. It looks beheaded. The structure looks beheaded. So we historians call it a Munda Gumbad. Okay, that is not a tree, not a grave, just it marked the middle point of the tank. So can you imagine how big this tank was? It is somewhere behind the trees. So that the original size was that big. Okay, now it's become shrinked and it's lost its original size. After Alauddin Khilji was defeated, after the Khilji dynasty got over, unfortunately this place got abandoned, and the water tank also was reused. So, and the water channels got silted, and it became dry. Okay. Then we have this very very keen constructor and a repairer, a ruler, okay, who was very much into constructions and repairing work. His name was Firoza Tughlaq. Okay, he was so fond of this. Again, this was not his capital. This particular complex was not his capital. His capital was Firozabad, which we call it Firoza Kotla today. Okay, and he was so fond of this place. Somewhere down the line, he fell in love with this, the surroundings, the beauty of this place. He saw this tank here, and he planned to repair it. So what he did was, he filled the tank again, and he desilted the water channels. So again the tank, people started using the tank. Again, Firoza saw people coming in, settling down here, not just in Mehroli and other parts of Delhi. He also saw a village coming up here. So when he saw that, he thought of building more and more structures here, both civil in nature, both religious in nature, and he also, since he was an Orthodox, very staunch Orthodox Muslim, other than just repairing a tank, other than just catering the needs of water, what he did was he built many religious buildings. Okay? One of his religious buildings was this mosque. This particular wall you see is a mosque. Unfortunately, it's not one of the prettiest buildings. It is not as beautiful as Jama Masjid, or it's not active at all. Okay, but the significance about this mosque is this mosque was used by the villagers who was this mosque was used by many religious men who came to this mosque. This mosque was also used by the students who came and who were students in his college. Okay, so at that point of time, 14th century, this used to be a very active mosque. Unfortunately, it's locked up by ASI due to security purposes. This mosque is very unique. It has got one very unique feature. Okay, every mosque which is Islamic in nature will always have 3 sides open and 1 side covered. There is a reason to it, that one side which is closed is the western side, and for Indians, for Indian subcontinent, the western side is important because for us Mecca falls on the western side. So every mosque to be built in India will have the western wall closed, so that whoever is offering namaz can face that wall and pray. Okay, so that wall will be very different from rest of the walls. We go to one of the buildings, we will be able to see mihrabs, but then that wall will be very different from rest of the other walls. That particular wall is also called mihrab. Okay, so since it's very clear that this was used for praying purposes, Firouzja, being a very staunch Muslim, didn't build any mihrab in this mosque. What he did, instead of a mihrab, instead of a western wall which marks the direction of Mecca, he made a huge window. Okay, that too the window. Can you see that window? Okay, that window. Yeah, similar to that window, there is a window facing that side. That side is western side. So that particular side is a huge window. This particular building again was added during Tughlaq period. Okay, if you look at this building, it is open from all the sides. There is no mihrab. There is nothing to show any, whether it was used for religious purposes or not. It has no mihrab at all. Okay, what they say is this particular building, looking at the size and the spread and looking at the shape, they say it was used for public meeting. Probably it was used as a gathering place. Yeah, we don't know, but they prefer to call it an assembly hall. Okay, but again we don't know. Probably it was used for public gathering. If you stand there and you look at the building carefully, it's in a T-shaped assembly hall. Okay, and some historians also say that it was not used for assembly hall. It was some grave there. It was a tomb, but then, for me, it doesn't look like a tomb at all. It's open from all the sides and there are no signs of graves inside. So, just like most of the historians believe, I also want to believe that this was used as an assembly. But today, before I start talking about the structure, I just want to say that hope you can notice that every structure is standing, it is open from this side. Okay, it overlooks the tank. Okay, it is built like that. Firouzja is a very fascinating ruler. Okay, he's come across as a very fascinating person. Other than just constructing buildings, he went on and he started repairing a lot of things. Okay, a lot of existing old structures were repaired by him. This was his plan to keep this side of every structure in this complex open, so that people can actually enjoy the water body, and it is believed that you have cold winds coming from that side. So he made it a point to keep this side open. Alright? This the structure where we are standing right now is a very unique structure. Okay? It is not an assembly hall, it is not a mosque. What is it? It is a madrasa. Okay, madrasa is an Islamic college. So this particular college built by Firouzja was double story. Okay, we are standing on the upper story. Okay, he made it a point to keep the classrooms open. These are all the classrooms of madrasa. The rooms you're going to see, they are all classrooms of this madrasa built by Firoza Khan. This is the first room, the first story of the madrasa. The first story you will see only the classrooms for the students. The second story is the residential wings of these students. Alright? And Firoza gave it a very uniform pattern. If you notice, we're standing in a pillared classroom. Okay? It's very different from the modern classrooms which we have. Okay, every pillared classroom is followed by a non-pillared classroom. This is what I was talking about. This is a jharoka. Okay, it's a balcony window. Okay, this is very much Indian in nature, very much Hindu in nature, copied by Muslim builders and architects. Okay, if you notice, Firoza's building has a L shape. Okay, right from there, ending till there, it's L shape. That's how we build his, structures. Right at the focal point of the L, we have this main building built by Firoza. That is his own tomb. So, that is again very fascinating why he left his capital and he chose this place for his burial place. This carving, the side carving is called Corbel gateway. So again, this is a typical temple gateway. Okay? Probably the Hindu workers contributed to it. Probably a used temple gateway was used for this. This is one of the main structures in this complex. This is where we have the grave of Firoza Tughlaq. Okay, he chose this place over his capital to build his own tomb. Okay, it was built when he was alive. Alright. So, as I said, the structure you were seeing had many Hindu elements, but this particular structure stands out in that way as well because it also has Buddhist features. Okay. Before I talk about the structure, I just want to tell you that this particular structure has an open courtyard outside. Okay, and it has stone railing. Okay, this particular stone railing is very common for a Buddhist stupa. Okay, I'm sure it had some connection with the Buddhism. I'm not saying that this was used by Buddhists, but I'm sure they took probably they took the stone railings used for a nearby stupa, or probably some Buddhist worker contributed. The dome of Firoza's tomb forms the highest point in this complex. It was purposely built like that with a high dome, so that it is the tomb of a ruler. Okay, so it has to stand out. Probably he built it purposely. This is again a Tughlaq building. If you notice the outer facade, it is very plain. Unlike the interiors, you'll be shocked to see the interior. Interior is much more prettier than the outer facade. Okay, he made it a point to beautify his own tomb. Unfortunately, we don't have a lot of data about this place. According to the inscription on the wall, can you see the inscription? That is a Persian inscription. They say that it was built for a certain saint called Sheikh Sahabuddin by a guy called Abu Sayyid during the reign of Sikandar Lodi in 16th century. That's what the inscription says. Now, we don't know who Sheikh Sahabuddin was. The tiles came again from Persia. The midnight blue tiles, the turquoise tiles, they all were imported from Persia. Okay. Are these the original ones? Yes, they are the original ones. And if you notice, even this structure has Indo-Islamic architecture. Again, the balcony window, the jharoka, and then you see arches, which is Islamic in nature. You also see